Scott Kazmir, a 13-game winner. They beat Kazmir 10 days ago in Oakland. Game 3 is next on Fox Sports Kansas City. Royals baseball is presented by Academy Sports and Outdoors. The winning streak is over, but the Royals remain in first place in the American League Central as they get ready for Game 3 with the Oakland A's. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the ballpark with Rex Hudler. I'm Ryan Lefevre, and Joe Goldberg is coming up. The A's had 11 runs, 20 hits last night to take Game 2, showing us why they have the best offense in the American League. The Royals had some games like that during the 8-game winning streak. I think you referred to it as frenzied hitting.
Oh, can't wait to see it again. This team is really unbelievable how they can feed off of one big hit. Doesn't even have to be a big hit. How about a lousy single or a little slap ball by Aoki? But then the rest of them say, all right, fellas, all aboard, let's go. And they've been scoring in bunches. It's been a lot of fun to watch them do that frenzy-style hit. When they score 4 or more runs, they're getting it done.
25-1, and if you're talking about 5 runs a game, which doesn't sound like a lot, we have the 2 best teams in the major leagues.
In this modern era of baseball, the back end of the bullpen, they are specialty guys. I'm telling you, and they all throw hard. That's what that tells me. So it's a fight to see who can score the 5 runs and then to the pen to win.
2 starting pitchers tonight thinking about redemption. When the Royals were in Oakland on the last road trip, Vargas lost to the A's and Kazmir lost to the Royals. Joel will talk more about Jason Vargas right after this.
Jason Vargas, 7 shutout innings at Minnesota. The next start, he would go 5 2/3, 2 runs, and it was that night and the next morning that he didn't feel well. Had an appendectomy within 24 hours after that start in Tampa, and working his way back now from the disabled list. Joe Goldberg back at Kauffman Stadium. Jason Vargas didn't have a rehab appearance, and so his first 2 starts off the DL pitched okay, but still trying to build up that endurance. Now his pitching coach Dave Eiland believes he's ready to go in his 3rd start.
You know, the last 20 or so pitches in each one of his games, he got a little fatigued, started getting the ball up in the zone, up out over the plate, and that was his problem in each of the last 2 starts. But we've made some adjustments with him on the side between starts to make sure he continues to get the ball down in the zone even when he gets a little fatigued later in the game. So I look for him to be much better than he was in his previous 2 games.
And his manager, Ned Yost, echoes that, saying Jason back at full strength. They expect his command and sharpness to be back where it needs to be. The lefty looking for his first win off the DL. Coming up next.
Your Kansas City Chevy dealers. Make your move to Chevrolet today. By the Missouri Lottery. Try the new Lucky Sevens playbook. And by AT Uverse. Find out what's possible with AT&T. Call 1-800-PICK-ATT. Mobilizing your world. As this great weather continues in Kansas City, the Royals are 1-1 in this 4-game series with the Oakland A's. They have a 3.5-game lead over the Angels and a 9-game lead over the Seattle Mariners. And hard to believe the Texas Rangers are below the Astros in the American League West. A very left-hand hitting heavy lineup last night against Jeremy Guthrie. Very right-hand heavy tonight against Jason Vargas.
Well, you know, Bob Melvin, he mixes and matches with the best of them. 100th different lineup. I talked with him before the game about that. We'll go into it later. But this is a pretty good offense, even without Cespedes. They're getting used to him not being in there, and Johnny Gomes is in there, and they're hoping he picks up some power slack.
Jason Vargas is our Kia starting pitcher for tonight, and making his 3rd start since coming back from the disabled list.
Tell you what, best number for me and against these guys that I like is that right there. The fact that he hadn't given up that long ball, and also what's important, he's just given up 2 runs in the first inning in 21 starts this year. That's a 0.86 ERA. That'll work tonight. Get him out of the first.
The A's scored the first of their 11 runs last night in the first inning. Down and away to Coco Crisp. He was out for a week with a neck strain, and then he played 8 consecutive games. So Bob Melvin gave him last night off. 1-1. A lot of history here. 43 at bats. Crisp has done well. 14 hits, and 2 of those hits are home runs. That is the most by far at bats for any A's hitter against Jason Vargas. 2 balls, 1 strike.
Coco doesn't get as many at bats right-handed. Numbers might be down from his timing, but he's an action player both sides of the plate, no question.
Showing a good eye as he works the count to 3-1.
Vargas fastball, curveball, changeup, those are his 3 main pitches, and he's going to mix all of them. Fastball, changeup, almost about the same. A little more fastballs, and he's going to work the changeup on the outer half and inner half to both lefties and righties. That's one of his best pitches. Curveball's a good one too. They don't hit it very often. Offenses are just hitting 194 off of that curve. It's not overpowering, so he's got to stay out of the middle. Beautiful.
Left center field, and Alex comes up to make the play. So Vargas, even though he struggled on Friday against the Giants at times, had an excellent changeup in that game, especially in the early innings, and he threw a good one there to Coco Crisp.
All right, on the Royals defense, we're going to highlight Christian Colon. He's just getting his 4th start in his career. But you know what? The way he plays, the way he carries himself, like he's been in the league for 5, 6, 7 years. Very comfortable. 316 as a hitter. Can play third base, shortstop, second base, first. And I would imagine he would play in the outfield if he had the opportunity. Plays under control. And he acts like he's been here before. That's nice.
0-2 on Sam Fuld. 3 hits, 2 runs scored for Fuld in this series. Still no balls, 2 strikes. Talking about Colon, Ned Yost was saying before the game today that he is one of the most prepared players he's ever been around. Vargas hits a strikeout. That time using his fastball, and there are 2 down in the first inning.
Lefties hitting a little bit higher average wise, but the long balls, they don't have success. Righties are the ones that do the damage, and they do it on the changeup. Keep it down, work the corners like he can, and like Joel said at the start of the show, what Dave Island said was basically this 3rd time out now, he's expecting to be 100%. Dave Island knew his first couple of starts were going to be, try to get back in shape. He missed a month. That is a long time. It takes timing in this game. Now, the same thing is going to happen to Hosmer when he comes back in September. You can't expect him to be hitting 350 and hitting homers left and right. Timing is an issue in this game, even for guys that play every single day. How about that? Second hit.
The end of the bat, and Kane dives, and it's under his glove.
Just the second hit in 20 at bats. 21 now for Donaldson. Great effort. So he's early swinging. Curveball down low. It's a good thing. Put it in the middle. We saw the power of Donaldson. Great try by Kane. He closes on balls quickly. I noticed that last night broadcasting the game from left center field. He's really a special athlete, Lorenzo Kane.
Big night last night. Donaldson 2 home runs, 4 RBIs. And now he's in scoring position for Johnny Gomes, who's had 1 plate appearance in the series, and wouldn't you know, he drove in a run. He is 4 out of 9 against the Royals this year with a home run and 5 RBIs. So we're talking about over the course of 10 seasons now, Johnny Gomes has been wearing out the Royals.
He's extremely confident, but not cocky, but just confident. But you can be confident all you want. If Vargas is hitting his spots, he'll carve you up. Head to head, I think Vargas has come out on top. Only 2 hits off of Vargas, one of those a homer. He's a competitor, Gomes.
One ball, 2 strikes. 9 years ago, playing for the then Devil Rays, Johnny Gomes had a three home run game against the Royals. It was the first ever in Tampa Bay history, and that was just the beginning for him against KC. 2 balls, 2 strikes. And it should come as no surprise that with those excellent career numbers against the Royals, he's done his share of damage here. 5 home runs in 15 games. Escobar keeps it on the infield, or at least out of the outfield. So that's saved a run. Gomes ends up with a base hit, but Donaldson has to stop at third.
That's how you save a run. Ball gets by him. It wasn't hit that hard. I don't know if Alex is throwing Donaldson out. Moose couldn't get to it on the dive, but Escobar did. Had to leave his feet. Excuse me, Colon. Colon's out there today. My bad.
And now Derek Norris, who's had an awful time in the first 2 games. Kansas native out of Goddard, which is just outside of Wichita. Big Royals fan, big Chiefs fan growing up. Still goes to Chiefs games during the baseball offseason. Working on a career year, but in this series 0 for 9 with 4 strikeouts, and he's grounded into 2 double plays. Good fastball over the inside. No balls, 2 strikes. Our Toyota League leaders for tonight. He's been a clutch hitter just like Alex Gordon. Those are the top 5 in the American League hitting with runners in scoring position. So that's about 80 points better than his overall average. 1 and 2. Just missed. Boy, there's a pitch 2 pitches ago that was in almost that same spot and called a strike. Oh, a little more inside.
Can't believe he didn't swing at it. They all know that Vargas comes inside. That's the key for him. He's got to be able to open up the outside part for the changeup.
From 0-2 to 3-2.
The Oakland A's will make you work.
Donaldson on with a 2-out double, and then Gomes followed with an infield single.
Can't set on a fastball if you're a hitter here facing Vargas, but you got to zone him. Anything close out, you got to be hacking.
Gomes runs, and Norris strikes out. Vargas strikes out 2, working around the pair of 2-out hits.
You can hack, but most of the time you'll have to go back.
Attention to what the Tigers are doing, and yeah, we're enjoying the way the Royals are playing right now, so appreciate the honest answer instead of all this macho, well, we just pay attention to what we're doing, we're not looking at the standings or blah blah blah.
How many times have you heard me say that? That's the line I took when I was a player. It was fresh to hear Ned say that.
But it's a lie.
Yeah, well, it's the company line. It is.
We don't watch the standings. I mean, come on.
But you do. You're right. You do. You watch it. But you know, when you tell the media, sometimes as players, you got to be careful what you say.
Royals batting order tonight presented by your Midwest Ford dealers. Nori Aoki, who hits well against left-hand pitching. In there against Scott Kazmir, Ned Yost. Alex Gordon is his left field, but a rotation of Kane, Dyson, and Aoki in center field and in right.
Aoki has turned into the player that they've wanted to see. Early in the season, he came out pretty good, but you know, then he quickly, the league caught up to him, the pitchers. And now he's starting to figure it out a little bit more. He's still getting his base hits, and he's getting a few infield hits to the left side, which is good. Any way he can get on base, you do. But I like the way he's been driving the ball in the second half. He's recognizing the inside part of the plate. He's seeing it, and he's getting that bat head out on it. Pulling balls down the line and also hitting some gappers. And we even saw his first career grand slam on his last road trip.
Nice little inside out swing, and he's on to begin the bottom of the first inning.
And Ned Yost told us before the game about how impressed he is with hitting against left-handers. Aoki, he gets that inning going right there with a beautiful stroke. Just like Bob Melvin has used over 100 different offensive lineups, he does the same thing with defense. He's got a lot of good players, a lot of players that can play different ways. Fold is a good swing man in the outfield. Cayaspo, the second baseman, can play anywhere in the infield. Really, managers love to have action players like that. Now they're in the bottom third as far as errors go. They've made 78 errors. Royals are just 67.
Infante is 1 for 7 in the first 2 games with the A's. That'll twist back into the crowd, and it's 0-2. 30-year-old Scott Kazmir in his first year with the A's. 4-6 in his career against the Royals. In his last 3 starts against KC, his ERA is over 6.5. He has not pitched well here. Tied for the league lead with wins. Fryman, and there's the disadvantage of being a right-hand throwing first baseman. He did everything he could and got twisted up trying to get Aoki, and Aoki getting around the tag and preventing a double play.
Good read on Aoki's part. But if you're Fryman, instead of going clockwise, you turn counterclockwise and you slap the tag on him back door without looking. Good try, though.
6'8", Nate Fryman. Strike 2, Salvador Perez. Royals last night had a 3-run 5th inning against John Lester. Sal drove in one of the runs with a double. Cayaspo running out into right field, and he'll make the grab, and once again Aoki's back to first base, 2 down.
Scott Kazmir's got an 88 to 94 mile an hour fastball. He's got a slider and a changeup that he uses, and he's got really quick arm motion. It's a circle type change. It's really a pitch that's worked well for him since he learned that pitch from great Mets closer John Franco back in the day. And that's what the righties are doing to him as far as the power goes. Very similar to Vargas. except the average is way down. League just hitting 223 off him.
Billy almost took his cap off. And now Crisp has trouble in center field, and Aoki keeps running to third.
Billy, short, compact, hit it right back where it came from. Ball climbed up on Coco's glove a little bit. But there's 2 outs. And Crisp is hopeful that Kazmir will pick him up. Well, that's a center field boot job right there.
So the A's had 2 on with 2 out in the top of the first inning, and now the Royals 2 on 2 out. Alex Gordon has hit in 6 straight, getting his average to an even 280. Big slow breaking ball is swung on and missed.
Alex 6 for 28 with 1 homer.
Ooh. And back with a fastball at 94. And while we were talking about Derek Norris in the top of the first inning, we will remind you that Alex in the top 5 in the American League, and very similar to Norris. I mean, you're talking about a big spike when you go from overall batting average to batting with runners in scoring position. For Alex, about 90 or 85 points higher. So the more clutch the situation, the better he gets.
And we've been seeing him in counts like this shorten up and just try to put the ball in play somewhere and find a hole. Last 8 games he's been getting it done. 370. That's it. Try to spit on those pitches away. It's what he's trying to do to you. Gordon 260 hitter against lefties on the season. Fans, just a reminder as you enjoy our cold one to look forward to Miller Time later in today's game, brought to you by Miller Lite.
Just below the knees. Well, Tom Hadlin, he's been consistent. Jason Vargas had a pitch down there that wasn't called, and now Kazmir gets the same. Alex strikes out on a fastball again at 94 miles an hour. So Kazmir, like Vargas, gets around a couple of runners in the first inning. everybody that they drove from Oakland to Kansas City. So glad they're here. Remember to tweet your photo using hashtag KC Fan Photo for a chance to have it shown during tonight's game broadcast, brought to you by AT&T. You know, Kauffman Stadium, a little nicer than the Oakland Coliseum.
What? Non-comparable. Oakland, they play both of their sports into one city.
One stadium.
I'm sorry, one stadium. You got it.
Jed Lowry's on with a single to right field, playing with a broken right index finger, which he will just try and play through. Yeah, that's the view that you're looking at now in Oakland would be obscured by an architectural monstrosity known as Mount Davis, which is a big pile of concrete which they unloaded when the Raiders moved from Los Angeles back to Oakland
in '96. And when I was with the California Angels there, they were pouring the concrete, and JT Snow, Gary DiSarcina, and myself gave them our bats in there, cemented in their concrete in Al Davis in the mountain.
They are?
They are. We put them up there. JT Snow come running off the field during batting practice one day, and he goes, "Hey guys, I was out there. They said they would let us put our bats in there." I said, "What a great idea here." And I found one that didn't have any hits in it. I could tell by looking at it. I said, "Let them have this one."
Do you think that's why the Raiders have struggled so much since?
It very well could be.
You know, because when they were building new Yankee Stadium, there was a guy on the construction crew who was a Red Sox fan, and he buried a David Ortiz jersey in the concrete, and they went in there when they found out and they dug it out. Fryman to Colon.
Oh,
quick
nice.
throw to second, double play. That was smooth.
I heard Ned tell you in your radio interview today, he's a winning player. Okay, get to it. Off balance, get it to him. Look at that little flip downside. That's a second base flip. I like to talk about first guy sure, second guy quick. How about first guy quick, second guy quick? Beautiful.
Strike two, Josh Reddick. And this is the newest position for Colon. Remember, he was drafted as a shortstop in 2010. First started to learn second base. He was telling me when he was first called up how much he enjoyed third base, because as a shortstop and a second baseman, at times you have to wait for the ball to get to you, and you got to think about your footwork, and you got to think about a lot of things that have to time perfectly. But playing at third, it's just reaction, just using your hands.
Better believe it.
9 pitches for Vargas thanks to the double play, and the A's are scoreless in the second inning.
the season with a left knee injury, injured his right knee, and he is on the disabled list. Anibal Sanchez over the weekend going on the DL along with Joaquin Soria. And just announced a little while ago, Yu Darvish placed on the DL with an elbow injury, and the Royals, they might have faced him. They're in Texas on the next road trip, so they'll miss one of the best pitchers in baseball in Yu Darvish. Our sprint question of the day: what recent injury do you feel will have the largest impact in the playoff chase? A, Manny Machado, that just happening. Andrew McCutchen, that was a recent one with the rib injury. Yadier Molina's been out for quite a while, but the best catcher by most accounts in baseball. And then Anibal Sanchez over the weekend. Text A, B, C, or D to 432-432. Hud, what do you think?
I'm going to say E, all the above. But since
I don't see E,
I know that you've told me that before.
I'm going to text that in right now.
No. I'm going to say Yadier Molina. That guy affects both sides of the field, catching and hitting. And you take him out of that lineup, ooh, that's a huge hole. Rhino, what do you think?
Well, thinking at it from a Royals point of view, I hope it's Sanchez, with Verlander being bothered by a sore shoulder. I mean, we know there's bullpen problems, but if he's not right and Sanchez isn't right, that's a completely different team. Kazmir walks Willingham to begin the bottom of the second inning.
There's some plate discipline for you. That's what he does. He's a veteran hitter that knows his strike zone, and he knows the pitch he wants. If he don't get it, he spits on it. 43rd walk on the year.
Scoreboard playing some tricks on us. We were trying to show you that Pittsburgh leads Detroit 4-1 in the top of the 5th inning. Strike to Lorenzo Cain. Lorenzo has tormented the A's somewhat this year. He is 6 out of 13 against Oakland. There's the score we wanted to show you. Oh, and 2.
This will be the 25th game since the All-Star break, and it's the 8th left-hander the Royals have faced out of those 25 games. And what I'm seeing with the batting average of the Kansas City Royals is everyone's getting better. They're all getting better. The numbers are coming up. They're hitting .266 now as a team against lefties. Lorenzo Cain is at .313.
Reddick had to make a late charge there as that ball started to fade. 1 down. Willingham back to first base.
Alcides Escobar is now hitting .306 against left-handers.
He has driven in 3 in this series. Put the Royals in front with 2 outs in the 7th inning in game 1 on Monday. Royals won that game 3-2.
Watching Escobar in batting practice today, he did nothing but hit balls right back up the middle, just like he's been doing. Concentrating on staying in the big part of the field right there up the middle. He knows that's how he's going to be able to help contribute the most. That and his bunting ability. And going to the opposite field offensively.
One ball, 1 strike.
It's a little quick pitch. He's got a good slide step. He slides all the time with a runner at first base. Pretty comfortable doing that.
Right to Callaspo. Lowry over to Fryman, and now the A's have turned to double play. No score at the end of 2 at Kauffman Stadium. Coming soon to College and King in Overland Park. And by your Midwest Ford dealers. Visit your MidwestFordDealers.com. Two very similar innings tonight. Both teams had 2 on with 2 out in the first. Both teams grounded into a double play in the second. Alberto Callaspo, the former Royal, will be followed by Coco Crisp and Sam Fuld. Callaspo here part of 3 seasons, 2008, 2009, 2010. Pulls it over to Escobar, and there is one down in the 3rd inning. Well, if you're looking to attend the Kansas City Irish Fest, starting at just $20, you'll receive a ticket to watch the Royals and the Twins on August 27th, and also get a free single-day admission to Kansas City Irish Fest going on that same weekend. So enjoy a night out at the ballpark and gear up for a fun-filled Irish Fest. Royals.com/Irish Fest.
You know, the fans get to come into the K here early for batting practice. If you get here early and you see the fielders out there fielding, watch them take ground balls. This is a routine ball. Look at how he gathers, steps with his right foot, taps his glove, and comes right over the top. And when they do their practice infield before the game, they might take 20 ground balls. That's all. But they take 20 like they would in a game. That way, that's called perfect practice. It's not about the abundance. It's not how many ground balls you take. It's how you take them. And watching these guys is impressive. Escobar, Infante, Colon, all those guys really take pride in their defense. And that helps win games. We've witnessed it.
Alex back first, and now comes in to get Coco Crisp. Remember, somebody said years ago, and it really made sense to me, the old saying, practice makes perfect. And the person I heard said, no, perfect practice makes perfect. Intentional practice.
Cal Ripken Jr. will tell you that. He did in our broadcast booth. We had him this year up here.
Two down to Sam Fuld, and Vargas struck him out in the first inning.
I saw Escobar 2 days ago when him and Infante were practicing their double plays. Play up the middle. He went up open with his glove. He's fully stretched out, and he flipped the ball out behind his back. And it was a perfect feed, and he threw it over. And I was standing over there by first base, and Esky had a big smile on his face, and I yelled at him, "Save that one for the game. That was beautiful." He just smiled. And having Infante as a second baseman has helped Escobar. Two Venezuelan guys that are really good at their craft. So much fun with the national media calling, wanting to hear about the Royals, talk about the defense.
And right on cue, Escobar gets another ground ball and throws out Sam Fuld. Vargas faces only 3 for a second straight inning. No score. He has managed nearly 40 dreams, including several major construction projects. His most unusual dream was a handicap accessible baseball field that gained national attention and has led to the construction of 2 other local Miracle League fields. Having raised over $70,000 in donations for his projects, Dick uses his skills and talents to encourage others to help him make children's dreams come true. Sitting in the Buck O'Neil legacy seat at tonight's game as Christian Colon leads off and takes strike 1, and we go to Joel.
Well, Ryan, it's amazing because 9 career games, but this is his first ever home start. He's come in late in a couple of those home games, and you know, he just acts like a veteran. There's a shot for Colon, gonna turn around Fuld, who catches it. But you know, Colon, you watch him every day. He's not playing a whole lot. He's a utility guy, and he's the one signing the most autographs. He's the one that's working at all the positions. He's talking to the kids that are here from the Dream Factory. And I asked Ed Yost today, I said, how rare is that for a young guy to be a happy utility player? And he said it's very rare. The older guys usually get that, but he acts like an older guy. And he is prepared for anything on any day at any moment, taking ground balls at short, second, third, always a smile on his face. Always energy. This is one of the reasons they brought him up.
Strike to Nori Aoki. That was one of the first things that came out of the Danny Valencia trade to the Toronto Blue Jays, was that they needed to get Christian Colon up here. They needed to make room for him because of his versatility. Play at a high skill level, 3 of the infield positions, occasionally in the outfield, pinch hit, pinch run.
Christian Colon might be so valuable as a utility player that he may not be able to shake that role. And what I mean is, when you got a guy that can do that many things and he can make the plays for you in all different positions, managers like to save him for when they need him. Now the only thing Colon's really missing is that blazing speed. But you know, when you don't have that, you make up for it with other things, and that's what he does. Hopefully though, and his goal is to be an everyday player. Nice stroke. I talked about the inside pitch earlier with Aoki. He's able to recognize it. Now he's 2 for 2 off of a solid left-handed pitcher at Kazmir. Come in on him, got the head out. Beautiful. See how he loads up with that flamingo kick? Got a nice little backward hit. He's loading up. He's getting something going forward.
It's really picked things up. 60+ points to his batting average since the break. And driving in runs. His job is to get on base and score runs. That's his primary job. But he's also driven in some big runs since the break. 12 RBIs in his last 18 games. Infante lined to first. First time up. 2 balls, no strikes. Five hits and 17 at bats against Kazmir, and that's hit well to left field, and that is his second career home run against Kazmir. Omar Infante gives the Royals a 2-0 lead in the 3rd inning.
Oh, wow. Talk about hunting your pitch. He waited and he got it. Short to the ball. Look at that. There's no room for error with that swing. He is so short. And he can generate bat speed with that. Catch the back underside of that ball. Ooh, that deserves a forearm bash.
Fryman will make the play on Salvador Perez. It had been a while since Infante had homered. We go back to the end of June 27th, and 149 at bats in between home runs. So the Royals lead.
Love that sign.
That's our Jeep drive of the game. Second career home run for Infante against Kazmir. Billy, on the first pitch he saw in the first inning, lined one that just buzzed right over Kazmir's cap for a 2-out single. That's hit well to right field into the wind, and Reddick will make the play. Aoki gets on. He has done that twice, and in this inning Infante gets him and himself to the plate.
Oh, hunt your pitch, Infante, and then hunt for a Blue October.
Omar Infante hits a 2-run home run to give the Royals an early lead as Jason Vargas begins the 4th inning facing Josh Donaldson. Donaldson doubled in the first. He had 2 home runs last night, giving him a new career high, 25 on the year. Inside, 2-0. Donaldson last year was 4th in the American League MVP voting, and in some ways coming out of nowhere.
Had a chance to talk to Donaldson before the game. Sam Fold and Stephen Vogt. I cornered all of them at the same time, and I asked him, what do you guys think about the Royals? And each guy took his turn, but both of them said they have a scary pitching staff. He said the back end of your bullpen, and it's not their power, it's their secondary pitches that have us worried. The way they throw those secondary pitches for strikes.
Didn't quite get his arms extended and still almost drives Kane to the warning track. 1 down. Hold that thought as we remind you that KU Day is coming up on Sunday, August 31st. The Cleveland Indians will be in town. First 2,000 fans who bring their KU Day ticket to the table inside gate B, as in boy, will receive a limited edition crimson and blue KC Royals KU cap. Now the script says, I don't think this script was written by a KU alum. It says receive a limited edition blue and red KC Royals cap. So anyway, that's coming up on August 31st.
The Oakland players were telling me also that from an offensive standpoint, the Royals, they said, we as Oakland A's have a very good pitching staff. We have guys that have swing and miss stuff. But the Royals hitters, they don't swing and miss. They battle and grind out at bats. They don't give in. They seldom swing and miss. They put the ball in play. Perfect fit for this big ballpark. Quote unquote, 3 Oakland A's position players. That's how they summed up the Kansas City Royals. High praise from the best team in baseball.
Norris shoots it to right field. Another good inning for Vargas. He has retired the last 8, and he hasn't faced more than 3 hitters in the last 3 innings. Monte's 2-run 3rd inning home run. Remember to vote for the Royals Player of the Month at rallyhouse.com/Royals, and you'll be entered to win a majestic prize pack from Rally House. Scott Kazmir was one of the hottest things going when the Royals faced him on August the 3rd. He didn't pitch poorly, but he gave up 4 runs in 6 innings. All those runs coming in 1 inning. And we told you in the first inning tonight, his ERA is over 6.5 in his last 3 against the Royals, and over 7.5 in his last 4 here at Kauffman Stadium. Alex struck out in the first inning. Willingham next, followed by Kane. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Now, I talked about the 8 left-handers that the Royals have faced since the All-Star break, and their average is coming up, 266. Now they're just 17-17. Their record is versus left-handed starting pitchers.
3 infielders on the right side, and that's the shortstop Jed Lowry throwing out Alex. 1 down.
Now the Oakland A's, they're hitting just 246 against left-handers, but their record is 20-12 against left-handed starters.
Josh Willingham reached with a walk first time up. Royals hoping to get some power from Willingham. They know they're going to get some on base percentage from Willingham. That walk tied him with Alex Gordon for the team lead. Now the first 42 are with Minnesota, but now you use all of his numbers since he's joined the Royals. His batting average is down, and he's been battling some wrist problems this year. Hitting .211, but his on base percentage is .344. Pretty amazing. That's 130 points higher than his batting average.
Perfect fit for this lineup. He's going to hit a few homers for him, and that's really what they want out of him. That's a DH, as a DH, but he adds a lot more teeth in the middle of that lineup.
Hit hard and into left field. Willingham's second hit as a Royal, and he's on with 1 out. Well, if you watch Hy-Vee Royals live, you notice that Joel did most of the show tonight by himself because, as we mentioned last night, Jeff Montgomery finally had surgery on a painful hip. And Joel, we hear you got an update.
Yeah, the second update I've had on the day. He had surgery this afternoon. His wife Tina texted me around 4:20 and said surgery went great. He was still out of it. Well, Monty has awoken because he just texted me about 3 minutes ago, said surgery went great, watching the game now. Send Pope, that would be Jonathan Pope, our roving photographer, out, and I'll work the post game via satellite. So we might have to take him up on that. We miss him, and I know everybody all day has been asking, so all of our cameramen around the park that have been asking, they're listening now. So there's Pope. Pope's heading right to the hospital right now. He's going to take care of that. And all the guys have been asking. So, Monty, we want to send you our best. And even, I mean, ushers on the 5th floor, guys out at Rivals. I've got a card from David out at Rivals, by the way. I'm supposed to give it to you, but I'm not going to see you. So, anyway, Pope, keep running. And we're really excited to hear that Monty had a good surgery. Now let's get him on that.
Here and moves into scoring position for Lorenzo Cain.
Perfect jump. He left on Kazmir's first movement, and Kazmir did not slide step on him because he didn't think he was going anywhere. Rusty Kuntz, the first base coach of the Kansas City Royals, one of the best baseball coaches there is in the game today. is an expert at helping the runners pick reads from the pitchers. He's very good at watching film. He'll spend an hour a day studying that pitcher that night, looking for any tendencies to help the base runners. There's a reason why they're first in the American League in steals.
That one somehow got past Willingham, and he knows that Coco Chris does not have a good arm, and Willingham goes to third. That ball got into center field quickly. That was not a definite advance on a wild throw.
No, I thought it was going to hit him where it was going, but it got underneath him. He would have been back safely. And then right away he recognizes it's going to Coco, and Coco's not blessed with the best throwing arm. He's had several injuries to that shoulder, but you got to love this right here. Here's your designated hitter. Now, he may not be blessed with Dyson type speed, but he has good base running instincts. Lorenzo Cain, he knows how important this at bat is right here with one out. Infield drawn in, just wants to place that ball in a hole somewhere or hit one deep enough to score him on a sac fly. Nice numbers with runners in scoring position.
Right to the shortstop, Lowry, and he'll throw out Cain. 2 down. So at the infield end, Kazmir was hoping for a ground ball, and he got it. And now Escobar with 2 outs.
The slide by Willingham was nice. Okay, goes in hard. See his foot get in on that base, and then Donaldson had to jump up for the throw, and he kind of came down on Willingham, but he was holding him like saying, okay, you're not going to go down. I'll help you stay up. Sorry about that.
Escobar drove in 2 runs in game 1 with 2 outs and 2 strikes. He has been at his best this year with 2 outs. Driving in 19 of his 37 runs. And there's a strike from Kazmir. He has Willingham at third base with 2 down here.
Kazmir has 7 wild pitches on the season. You never know.
Oh, and 2. That might be the most hittable pitch he sees, but it wasn't the pitch he was looking for.
Well, in game 1, Sonny Gray had him down 0-2 and hung him a curveball, and he spanked it for the go-ahead run up the middle.
Blocked by Norris. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Look at Norris's style. Perfect. Drop to the knees, thumbs out.
Two balls, 2 strikes.
Escobar's the kind of hitter that pitchers get a little nervous on at this particular time. There's 2 outs. Kazmir's got 2 strikes on him. He doesn't have a home run hitter he's facing up there, so he's not going to be taking a big swing. He's going to just meet the ball somewhere. Can be dangerous. Ooh, good pitch.
Got him with a breaking ball. 2nd strikeout, and picked the right spot for that pitch. So the Royals got Willingham to third with 1 out. They don't get him home. The Royals lead 2-0. is imports. Look at that beautiful sunset, and look at that beautiful couple, Mike and Grace Albano. And we send them congratulations as they're celebrating their 48th anniversary. And there's a reason why they're here for their 48th anniversary. They have been season ticket holders since 1969, year one of the Royals. So it's only appropriate that they're here tonight. Congratulations.
And thank you for your longtime support.
1-1 on Jed Lowry. He singled to right in the second inning.
Vargas managing his pitch count tonight, doing exactly what Dave Islands told me and Joel before the game he was going to do. He's should have full win now after 2 starts after missing a month with the appendectomy surgery. Stays on the corners, pitches inside to knock him off the plate, sets him up with a changeup, finishes some guys off.
Typical fly ball self tonight, and a good night to be a fly ball pitcher as the wind with this cool weather, odd weather for this time of year, means the wind is blowing out of the north and northeast, making it harder to drive the ball out of the ballpark. One and one on Nate Fryman. He grounded into a 5-4-3 double play in the second inning. So this is Vargas's 3rd start since coming off the DL. His first start was against the A's. And there's the line, which doesn't look very good. It wasn't the best defensive game for the Royals. But inside of that line is that he began with 4 perfect innings. So he didn't look like he was shaking off any rust at all. And then the A's had an 8-run 5th. Great changeup that strikes out Fryman, and that's 3 strikeouts for Vargas. 2 down in the 5th inning. And Dave Island, in talking about Vargas, talking about also a little bit of fatigue getting past the 4th inning in his first 2 starts against the A's and the Giants.
Yeah, and when that happens, he opens up and leaves the ball elevated. Pretty simple. Hello, hon.
Josh Reddick flied to left field in the second inning.
Okay, I got to the bottom of Josh Reddick's walk-up song. What's the name of that song? It's a Careless Whisper, Wham. Okay, it's a real soft song, and the Oakland A's fans, they move slowly to the lyrics and the words as he comes to the plate. And I asked him, what's the deal with the song? And he says, you know, I walked into the clubhouse one day and I heard it on the radio box and I liked it. I didn't know who sang it or any of that, what the name of it was or anything. I liked it. I told him to play it, and I got red hot after that, and I went on a great streak. That's why.
He didn't happen to notice all the men in their late 30s and early 40s who were crying when they heard that song?
No, he didn't care about any of that. He just liked the rhythm, but it's not working tonight. Vargas is on.
He has knocked down the last 11 A's hitters, so no fatigue in the 5th inning this time around. does it feel good to be outdoors. Royals have a 2-0 lead on Omar Infante's home run. Much to the delight of that little gal. Although she may not realize that Omar Infante has hit a 2-run home run, but having a good time with Daddy at Kauffman Stadium tonight. Colon bunts. Donaldson, bare hands, and not in time.
Talk about Colon setting up for that drag bunt. You could see it coming, and so could the third baseman and Donaldson. He comes right in. He's a very good fielding third baseman. He's got a nice pickup, makes a good play, but Colon was running full speed out of the box. Oh, that was really nice. Unbelievable. This kid here, he's got some game. Melvin doesn't like it one bit. He's saying, you know what? We're going to have to talk about this one, Mr. Hallion. Hallion in his 22nd year as an umpire.
And this is just a stalling tactic. I mean, if he was really going to argue the play, he'd go out to the umpire who made the call, which is Tripp Gibson at first base. But he's chatting with Tom Hallion and glancing periodically into.
Yeah, you know, there might be an argument here with him saying that Colon. I talked about how Colon was running out of the box. Maybe he's thinking that he was out of the box on contact. I don't think so. Beautiful touch. See how he's at full speed? When he bunts that baseball, he's already leaning forward. So on contact with the ball, he's already starting that forward lean to first base. Good touch. He's safe.
So after all that, the A's will not challenge. So Colon, after lining to left in the third inning, on with a bunt single to begin the fifth, and now Nori Aoki, he has singled twice and scored one of the 2 runs. And now he wants to bunt. And a tough throw. That's a 6'8" first baseman, and he has a long way to go to reach down to get that throw from Kazmir, but Fryman handles it, and the sacrifice gets Colon up to second base.
Yep, good technique here. Just move the runner over. After the drag bunt, now the sac bunt. He's giving himself up. Almost goosed the throw. 5th sacrifice bunt on the year for Aoki.
Omar Infante hit a 2-run home run in the third inning, giving him 53 RBIs this year. That ties Alex Gordon for the team lead. It also surpasses Infante's total from last year. And now he's just 2 RBIs shy of his career high, which he did 10 years ago with the Tigers.
Not surprised to see first pitch breaking ball the way he jumped on that last fastball Kazmir threw. He's not afraid to throw it, Kazmir, but he's going to have to be really careful where he locates it.
Callaspo made a move from his position to second. Kazmir didn't throw, but he noticed his second baseman was out of position. And now Colon is distracting Kazmir. Now you pointed out that Colon has good speed. He doesn't have blazing speed, but that's a player that Kazmir is unfamiliar with, so he might be a little uncomfortable not knowing whether Colon will take off or not.
I'm saying he might be a little bit nervous about Colon, but I'm saying he's more nervous about Infante. He's not real sure about what he wants to throw. Sometimes when a pitcher does that, you know, he didn't want to come home with the ball yet. He's not real comfortable with his pitch selection. And after the guy just took him deep to put the Royals ahead 2-0 in his last at bat, believe me, Infante's deeper in the mind of Kazmir than Colon is.
It was Infante's second career home run against Kazmir, and there's a good fastball over the outside, 1-1.
Well, that's a perfect spot for him there. Took a little bit off. And that previous pitch was a fastball on the outside part of the plate at 89. He goes from 88 to 94, so he's able to add and subtract off of his fastball. Makes it difficult for hitters at times.
27 games above 500 when the Royals hit at least one home run, as they have tonight. Again, Callaspo runs to second. Pretty good feed from Kazmir, but Colon got his right hand back in time.
We saw Guthrie and Escobar execute a few of these last night. Kazmir, obviously a good athletic pitcher, is not afraid to throw around the bases. Reminds me a little of 7-time Gold Glove winner Mark Langston.
Colon will go to third as Lowry did not get Infante. Two infield hits in the inning, and runners at the corners with one out.
Swings like that already have you leaning coming out of the box, so you already have a half a step head start when you hit an off-speed pitch like that. And that last little stride there, he hits the front part of the base. You notice that. Young base runners out there, watch it. He hits the front part of the base. That's exactly what you want to do. You get there quicker. Look at it. And you notice another thing. He did not watch the ball being fielded. He focused on the base. He hit the front part of the bag. That's a professional hit, infield-wise. Salvi, 5 for his last 10 with runners in scoring position. You know he wants to come through here for Vargas. Give him a little bit more comfort.
That number just gets better and better for Perez, hitting with runners in scoring position. He was second best in the American League last year. The only hitter with a better average was Miguel Cabrera. Colon tags. Reddick gets behind it. Reddick's throw was headed for the third base dugout. Colon scores on Sal's 50th RBI of the year, and the Royals lead 3-0. Infante went to second base on the throw.
And what an airmail throw that was by Reddick. 2 sacrifices in the inning for the Royals. When you don't have power and you don't hit a lot of home runs, you manufacture them. This is a good example right here. Christian Colon got the inning started. No wonder Melvin was upset. A great drag bunt down the line. Aoki next sacrificed him over to second base. Infante got the infield hit, sacrifice fly.
That little guy, he's got it made. He's got his priorities for his age. The ice cream's a little more important right now than the game, but Royals are leading. He's got a face and a shirt full of ice cream. You can't beat that.
Billy, 5 for his last 8 with runners in scoring position.
Breaking ball inside. Billy singled to center first time up, and then Kazmir got him on a fly ball to right in the third inning. 11 hits in 31 at-bats all-time for Billy against Kazmir. 0-2. Or take that back. 1 ball, 1 strike. Or was that first pitch a strike? The scoreboard says 0-2. First pitch was a called strike, so now that we got that all squared away, 0-2 on Billy.
Players on the infield especially, they'll ask the umpires, how many outs are there? Because there's an umpire at every base, nearly. You never trust the scoreboard, never. The one time you do, the scoreboard's wrong, and you miss a play in the infield, cost your team a game. So the old school was the umpire always gave the count on his hand. Strikes on his right side, balls on his left.
One and 2 on Billy. Royals once again giving Kazmir a bad time. They've had runners in every inning. Cracked his bat, and Kazmir throws out Billy to end the inning. Royals add a run, and it all started with a Christian Colon bunt single.
And it was a beauty. Getting on base, Aoki gets him over. Fonte and Salvi gets him in.
First of all, the final game of the series with the A's. Remember, tomorrow is a day game. It's a Gordo Nation Day, and all-you-can-eat seats are available. We've been telling you about Irish Heritage Night coming up on August the 27th. If you're coming out tomorrow, James Shields against Jeff Samardzija. The Royals will face him for the first time. No TV broadcast tomorrow on Fox Sports Kansas City. As always, you can listen on the Royals radio network and on MLB.TV.
Darn it, we don't get to come to the yard tomorrow?
Oh, you can come to the yard tomorrow.
Might have to.
Callaspo grounded to short in the 3rd inning. He is the A's number 9 hitter. One and 2. Vargas has retired the last 11. The A's got a pair of 2-out hits in the 1st inning. Lowry led off the second with a base hit, and that's the last man to reach. Long run Kane, long run Gordon. Lorenzo Kane hits Callaspo for out number 1. And speaking of tomorrow, your Kansas City Honda dealers bring you the MTP of the game, the most trusted player, brought to you by the most trusted brand, Honda.
Definitely the guy you want to have on the mound on that 4th game. James Shields was marvelous. He carved up San Francisco Giants, sent them packing back to the Bay Area, gave the bullpen a night off, saluted them, and threw a 9-hit shutout, his first shutout in the Royals uniform. But Vargas, next pitch will be his 70th. Very good pitch count management tonight. Going strikes, getting those Oakland A's to swing at some pitches and making some early countouts.
Colon, nice backhand play, and Billy pulls it out of the dirt. Looking past tomorrow, here's the Royals' schedule. 43 games remain. Well, actually, this includes tomorrow, but of the Royals' next 43, only 11 games against teams above 500. Now 6 games against teams at 500. That's the Cleveland Indians, because that's where they are right now. So depending on what Cleveland does, the Royals could have the vast majority of their games after tomorrow against teams with losing records. It could be as many as 32 of the last 42. 1-1 on Sam Fuld. Royals will have 7 consecutive series beginning on Friday against teams below 500. There is that one game, that makeup game against the Yankees in the middle of that. Jason Vargas continues to roll along. He has retired the last 14 A's. They haven't had a base runner since the leadoff man in the 2nd inning.
Vargas is carving him up.
On Instagram or follow the Royals on Facebook. Then join us for social media night. That's coming up on Thursday, August 28th, when the Royals host the Twins. And the special ticket package includes a free pair of Royals social sunglasses, access to the pregame social hour at Rivals for a Q&A with Joe Goldberg, and a chance to win some great prizes. For tickets, go to Royals.com/RoyalsSocial.
To hang out with Goldie, that's a pretty good deal.
One and one on Alex. He is struck out and grounded out to short.
I just hear Gordon saying, "Go Big Red." A little out of Alex's character to do that, wouldn't you say, Rhino? After he was the star on that Cornhusker Day here last Sunday.
Well, Joel kept saying that he promised to sing after the game, and having known Alex now for parts of 8 years, I just didn't see that coming. But he did it. It was a good effort. Go Big Red. So maybe he didn't nail every note, but Husker fans here tonight got the point.
Yeah, they did.
Kazmir strikes out his third, so it hasn't been a big strikeout game for him. It's the second time he's gotten Alex. One down in the 6th inning. Our Sonic Slam inning contestant is Helene Blogamus. Sorry, Helene. Who lives in beautiful Lee Summit, hoping for $3,400 if the Royals hit a home run in this inning. Willingham takes a strike. If the Royals hit a grand slam out of the park, then Helene will win $25,000 from Sonic and the Kansas City Royals.
I'm sure Helene has something to do with $3,400.
High changeup.
Yeah, fastball changeup combination there. Talking with Willingham before the game, I asked him, so how did it come to settling on number 7? He said, well, they offered me a few numbers. I told them I wanted number 5. I laughed right away. I laughed, and he laughed too. And he said they offered him a few other numbers, but he thought 7 was closest to 5. And he was hoping that he could help this Royals ball club, just like that guy did. However, he just had a few at-bats here with the Royals.
He was 16 with the Twins, and that of course belongs to Billy Butler. Before that, Joe Randa. It's been a good number for the Royals, at least in recent years. Still 2-2. And of course you can find everything on the internet these days. So let's see, what's his most common number over the years? 16. 16 with the Nationals, the A's, and the Twins. So 7 could also be 1 + 6.
It could.
Well, it is, but the reason why he wants 7 could be because it's 1 + 6. 2 down in the 6th inning. First time that Kazmir has retired Willingham tonight. Kazmir's not used to this scenario here, being down 3-0. He has the best run support of any pitcher in the major leagues. The type of run support that pitchers dream of. Every team, as we've said so often, has that bad luck guy who just can't get any run support, and this year Kazmir has been that good luck guy. 6.3 runs per game this year, but tonight 0, as the A's have been stymied by Vargas through 6 innings. Celebrate Retro Night at Kauffman Stadium. The event will feature appearances from Royals alumni from the 1974 Royals. Retro uniforms worn by both teams that season. A themed pregame concert, a live organist playing throughout the game, and much more special entertainment. And the first 10,000 fans through the gates receive a limited edition Mr. Royal bobblehead.
That guy is ready to go. Last night when we did the broadcast of the game from the outfield, I ran into that young man. I couldn't help it. I got my picture, my little phone out, said, "Hey, sir, do you mind if I take a picture with you?" He was excited about coming into the gates. He was pumped to be at the ballpark, and it looks like he's happy again tonight.
He introduced himself to me a while back as Royals super fan. Now, there's no doubt that he is a Royals super fan, but that title has been held for quite a while by Royals super fan Chris.
Oh, he'll have to come.
So we'll have to give him a new name.
Yeah, exactly.
Royal Man.
Mohawk Man.
Mr. Royal. We talked about the Mr. Royal bobblehead that we're giving away. I mean, he's into it. There's no doubt about that.
How about the shoulder pads? He likes to be hulked up, beefed up.
Just in case a football game breaks out. One must be prepared when painting their face, putting a cape on and a wig. Anything can break out at a moment's notice. The shoulder pads might come in handy. 3-2 on Donaldson. The A's do not have a runner since the second inning. Donaldson doubled back in the first inning and then flied to center in the fourth. Vargas has retired 14 in a row.
Donaldson got that nice little double in his first at bat. Makes him 2 for 23 now if that ball's caught.
It ricocheted off the moon, and then Escobar made the play. That would have, if we were inside the Metrodome, that would have come very close to hitting that old Teflon ceiling. That ball was up there.
Or the Arena Baseball League in Tampa Bay. What do they call it? That's the Trop.
Our sprint question of the night. 40% agree with you, Hud, that Yadier Molina will have the largest impact in the playoff chase, followed by Andrew McCutchen. Pirates finally put him on the disabled list. He'd been bothered by that cracked rib for about a week. And strike to Johnny Gomes.
And you know how Yachty got hurt. Little slide into third base, caught his thumb. We see those bases will put guys on the disabled list at an alarming rate. Got a man there.
Kane makes a play on Gomes. 2 down. You know, when you watch the old film, you know, like say a Jackie Robinson film, you know, with his good speed, and he would slide into second base, and we use the term bag because originally it was a bag. It wasn't a hard rubber-like base that is mounted in the ground. It is rooted in the ground by a steel shaft. But they used to slide through the bag, and the bag would give.
It did.
So,
yeah, it was soft.
Now, of course, back then, I don't think anybody slid in head first, but if they did, there would be far fewer hand injuries than there are now. Jason Vargas make it 17 in a row retired. And he's now gone 17 innings without a walk.
lot of viewers had their seat selection this week for the upcoming KU basketball season. And Tickets for Less pays way above face value for KU tickets. Sell with confidence. Tickets for Less pays the most and is easy to deal with. Call tomorrow for an offer. 913-685-3322.
All right, Joel, Alcides Escobar, Christian Colon, and Nori Aoki in the 7th inning against Scott Kazmir, who has a so-called quality start, having allowed just 3 runs in 6 innings. But he has got no support on offense as the A's are scoreless in 7 innings against Jason Vargas. Escobar grounded into a double play in the 2nd inning, and Kazmir struck him out in the 4th.
Man, we are seeing some really good pitching tonight on both sides. Kazmir's doing a nice job. 2-run homer Infante hit. And that 3rd run the Royals got was skillfully manufactured.
Poke to right field, and Reddick will make the play. Kazmir not quite in as good a shape as Jason Vargas when it comes to pitch count. He has not thrown 90 pitches yet, and there's 1 out in the 7th inning. He is the rare erratic power pitcher who has been able to prolong his career by changing his style. And a lot of it has to do with pitching more to contact, throwing more strikes, fewer pitches per innings, able to go deeper into games. I was talking to Ned Yost about that earlier on the homestand. No balls and 2 strikes on Christian Colon, who has scored 1 of the runs tonight. He hasn't had more than 18 pitches in an inning tonight. Ned and I were talking about Tim Lincecum, who has gone to more of a finesse righty than a power righty, and how some guys, when they lose their stuff, when they don't have the same velocity, some guys, that's the end of their career. Other guys have the ability to change their style. They have the ability to adapt with what they have and can prolong their career. And Ned felt that the common thread was, if a guy has command from the very beginning, that's something he can always work with or work from. So for a guy like Kazmir, he has some big strikeout years, but big walks, big pitch counts. For him to make that adjustment is rare, but he has.
Christian Colon making a difference in his first start at 3rd base. Scouting report on Christian Colon. He's a savvy baseball player. He plays above his rather modest tools. Scouts and coaches always bring up Colon's high baseball IQ.
Donaldson and Fryman needed all 6'8" to stretch out as the throw was to the inside of the bag, and Colon is the 2nd out of the inning.
Hey, he made him work for it. On the way, Donaldson really quick. He's got great feet and quick hands. It's not fair throwing to a guy 6'8". He's got a big stride foot and glove and arms, just barely held on. Anyway, the rest on the scouting report. He gets the most out of the ability he has as a baseball player. Talking about Christian Colon. He is just a born winner who simply finds a way to get the job done. He's loaded with intangibles. He's both a special player and a special person as a leader. Christian Colon, that's what they say about him.
Who's they?
Scouts. Scouts around the league. And no wonder he was the #1 pick. Spent 6 years in the minor leagues. You got a pretty good idea about how to play the game.
Well, it might be a little too late, but Kazmir has back-to-back 3-up, 3-down innings. Jason Vargas headed out for the 8th with the Royals leading 3-0.
American League, Detroit doubling up Pittsburgh. Baltimore beats the Yankees. Cleveland wins the first of a doubleheader. They are scoreless late in the second. And our Mazda game break, we'll take a look at that highlight later. But guys, what I can tell you is that Pittsburgh showed it earlier. They were up 4-1, and Detroit stormed back, putting up 3 runs in the 5th, 1 in the 6th, and 3 in the 7th. Nick Castellanos leading the way. It's got half of the cycle, the harder half, a triple and a double.
All right, Joel, defensive changes with Moustakas at third and Dyson in center. 1-1 from Vargas to Jed Lowry, so Lorenzo Cain shifts over to right. Vargas is making here just his 85th pitch of the night. We're in the 8th inning. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
You know, Dave Island, he's really a fantastic pitching coach. There's no doubt about it. What he's done with the starters, the bullpen, anybody involved with pitching. And now he's almost like a fortune teller. He told me today before the game he expects the real Vargas to show up tonight.
Escobar made that look easy as he throws out Lowry, 1 down in the 8th.
Said Vargas should have his legs underneath him. He should have his pitch count down, should go into the hundreds if we need him to. And when we see Vargas this year with his command, he's really sharp as a razor. The Royals are 7-4 in Vargas's home starts this year. He's getting it done with his fastball, just like that when he's elevating. He's pitching, using that pitch inside, and he's scalping the corners with that fastball and his curveball and his changeup. Got him out front again.
That'll land in the 3rd row. 0-2. Coming up on Labor Day, that's a Value Monday Labor Day special. September the 1st, you receive a lower level field plaza ticket for just $10 and Hy-Vee infield tickets for just $5. Nothing beats spending your holiday at Kauffman Stadium with the boys in blue. So get your discounted tickets now at Royals.com or 1-800-6-ROYALS or at your local Hy-Vee. Off the knuckles. 2 down. That is 19 in a row retired by Vargas. Mazda game break. We go to Detroit and Nick Castellanos. Here's what Joel was talking about. Tigers were down early in that game 4-2, but now lead 8-4. And I'm sure the out of town scoreboard works at Comerica Park, and they see that the Royals are leading 3-0 in the 8th inning. So the Tigers trying to hang on and remain a half game out. Infante makes the play. That was just a 9-pitch inning. Vargas has retired the last 20, and he's barely thrown 90 pitches.
Unbelievable.
Of F-150s at thoroughbredford.com. As promised earlier in the game, it's Miller time, brought to you by Miller Lite.
Oh my, Omar Infante. He said, you know what, Vargas is pitching so good, there's only one thing missing. 2 runs. Forearm bash from Salvi. It's a good thing he just glanced off that powerful forearm of Salvador Perez, too.
Ball 1 from an A's new pitcher tonight. It's former Royal Jesse Chavez. Chevy called to the bullpen. Chavez has spent most of the year as a starter. This is just his 4th relief appearance. 2-0 on Infante. Pretty amazing how good the A's pitching staff has been this year, considering some pretty significant injuries early in the year. Jared Parker, Tommy John surgery. AJ Griffin has been out since spring training. So Jesse Chavez moved into a very good starting rotation. And like a lot of pitchers over the years, going to the Oakland A's has enhanced Jesse Chavez's career.
A really good pitcher. He's got a nice sinker he keeps down low. He'll go 90 to 95 with that sinker, slider, and a changeup.
Leadoff walk.
Just a 23rd walk by Infante. Yeah, that rotation, I mean, certainly no slap to Chavez. That rotation that Billy Beane has put together here is pretty impressive. Lester, Samardzija, Hamill, Gray, Kazmir. He's got some good arms.
And now outside to Sal. Sal drove in the 3rd run tonight with a sac fly in the 5th inning, getting him to 50 RBIs. Two and 0. Jesse Chavez had a total of 2 career major league starts when the A's moved him into the starting rotation. If you remember him with the Royals, big arm and at times could be unhittable, but at times had a tough time finding the strike zone, and he'll still get his share of walks, but he has really cut those down. Won 8 games this year in the rotation for the A's. Our AT&T fan photo for tonight is that Rat Daddy.
Rat Daddy. Doesn't look like you could sneak a piece of cheese by those Rat Daddies. They look like they're having a good time. Maybe had a little barbecue, a little pregame. Oh, nice play.
Donaldson out at second base, and the A's turned that into a double play. Wow.
That was special. I talked with him about his footwork today and wanted to know if he was a soccer player. He's got really great feet. He said no, he was a point guard in basketball. And he said, you know, we played at a pretty high level, so, you know, point guards got to be able to shuffle their feet and move around. He said that's what helped him with his footwork. And he showed it right there along with those soft hands. Got to have soft hands and a big glove. Helps you when you play third base in that reaction position.
Ball 1 to Billy. He is 1 for 3 tonight with a first inning single. And Donaldson was drafted as a catcher. That was with the Cubs organization, and it still was being used as a catcher when he was traded to the A's. That's still somewhat of a new position for him. And the turnaround for Josh Donaldson, and it's easy to overlook. Spring training 2 years ago, Scott Sizemore was the A's opening day third baseman, and he blew out his knee in spring training, so they went to Donaldson, who really wasn't in the plans. That was his opportunity, and now he's one of the premier third basemen in the American League.
Sure is. He just showed it with that double play. Helped out Chavez big time.
Does the jacket stay on? Nope, it comes off. The Royals may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Kansas City Royals Baseball Corporation. Ryan Lefevre, Rex Udler, Joe Goldberg. The last time Jason Vargas threw a shutout was against the Oakland A's in September of last year. It was his last complete game. He has thrown 93 pitches. And pitch number 94 is out, number 1 in the 9th inning. He has retired 21 in a row, by the way.
Those are all credentials for a bus driver.
Jeremy Guthrie, going back to a week ago, through a complete game at Arizona. Left center field, Alex Gordon is there. And if Vargas can get the last out, it'll be the 3rd complete game in the last week and the 2nd shutout. James Shields, remember, shut out the Giants right here at Kauffman Stadium. A 4-hit shutout. And now Vargas working on a 3-hit shutout. And he still hasn't thrown 100 pitches yet.
After missing a month of the season, had a couple of starts that he looked really sharp in his first few innings. And then kind of ran out of gas. Dave Island said before the game, this is when Vargas shows up tonight.
To Billy. Jason Vargas with his 6th career shutout. And more importantly, another KCW.
Call the cops. That was exciting. Vargas carving up that dish. Scalpel's out. Casey's out with a W. And the Royals continue to hold the lead.
He retired the last 23 A's hitters. The last time an Oakland A's batter got to first base was back in the 2nd inning. So 3 complete games over the last week, 2 shutouts since Saturday. The Royals win, Vargas gets a shutout, and the bullpen gets a full night off.
Ned Yost couldn't have written tonight's script any better, guaranteeing a split in this 4-game series. Can't wait for tomorrow.
So the Tigers won, the Royals win. Royals still with a half-game lead in the American League Central. What a way to come back, too. After losing the 8-game winning streak last night, the Royals back to doing what they do best, pitching, defense, just enough runs. Oh, and by the way, Jason Vargas throws a shutout with fewer than 100 pitches.
Looked like a left-handed Greg Maddux out there.
So, Joel, I'm guessing he hasn't even broken a sweat yet.
Well, I think he's broken a little bit of the sweat, but I just mentioned what Rex was saying, that Dave Island said that he'd be back tonight, and Jason said, I've been back for a couple of starts. But unbelievable, Jason, to think that on July 9th, you had an appendectomy. I actually didn't think Salvador would do that to you. I mean, you just threw a shutout under 100 pitches. But July 9th, you have an appendectomy, and here you are in the middle of the playoff race tossing a shutout. How much fun was this?
Oh, it's fantastic, you know, to come back after a loss last night. And, you know, we played a great game top to bottom, and, you know, the fans came out to support us, and it's been fantastic.
Jason, you've been at this a long time. You've had complete games before, but to to finish this thing retiring the last 23 in a row. What was working for you guys?
Salvi just had good fingers going back there, and you were executing pitches and just trying to keep them off balance. And, fortunate enough, we played good D when we had to, and we made the plays.
James Shields said the other night during his complete game, or after his complete game, that he was motivated by Jeremy Guthrie's and that you guys have all challenged each other to take some of that pressure off the bullpen. How much did that sink in with you?
Yeah, I think that that goes along with our whole staff. We got a bunch of great arms. We push each other, and we just feed off each other's positive energy.
Last thing, how much fun, I asked you about the complete game, but to be in the middle of this race with the big crowds and the excitement in Kansas City.
It's fantastic. It's the only reason we play this game. Thanks, guys.
Jason Vargas took less than 100 pitches for the shutout. Great job tonight.
Thanks, Joel. Appreciate it.
The lefty getting it done. He may say he was already back, and that was the case for a couple of starts, but he was really back in a dominant way. We'll break that down coming up on Boulevard Royals Live. Take a look at some big hits for the Royals, and they have won the season series against the team with the best record in baseball. We'll preview the series finale tomorrow, guys.
All right, Joel, looking forward to that. And one night after the A's scored 11 runs on 20 hits, Vargas holds them to no runs on 3 hits. We'll be right back.